So, let's talk about Cal Newport's game-changing book, Deep Work. The big idea here is that in our crazy, noisy, digital world, the one thing that's becoming super rare is also becoming super valuable. And that thing is focus. Real, deep focus. So in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what that means.
Okay, let me ask you something. Does this sound at all familiar? Your day is just a blur of emails, Slack notifications, and back-to-back meetings. You're busy, right? Totally exhausted. But then 5 o'clock hits, you look back at your day and you think, wait, what did I actually do today? If that hits home, trust me, you are not alone.
And here's the crazy part. It's almost like the modern workplace is designed to stop us from focusing. I mean, think about it. Open offices, great for collaboration, sure, but they're basically interruption factories. And that instant messaging culture, that little green dot on Slack or Teams, it's trained our brains to be in this constant state of twitchy, low-level distraction. It's all because we've started confusing busyness with being productive. We reward the person who answers an email in 30 seconds, not the person who actually solves the hard problem.
So yeah, let's call it what it is. We are living and working in the age of distraction. And it is time to identify the enemy of our focus.
And this is the heart of the problem, right? We are just drowning in a sea of these shallow, low-value tasks. It's all that stuff Newport calls shallow work. You know, the easy, logistical things that don't take a lot of brain power. They make us feel busy, but they're the very things that get in the way of the big, important stuff, the work that actually moves the needle.
But here's the kicker. This isn't just about feeling better or less stressed at the end of the day. Newport makes a really powerful argument that your ability to focus, well, it's become an absolute economic necessity. He points to this idea from economists called the Great Restructuring. And what it basically means is that technology is just moving at warp speed, way faster than our skills can keep up. And this is creating a massive shift. It's literally changing the rules of who wins and who loses in the economy.
So in this new world, there are basically 3 groups of people who are going to thrive. You've got your high-skilled workers, the ones who can tame complex machines and data. Then you have the superstars, the absolute best of the best in their field. And of course, the owners, the people with the capital to invest in all this new tech. So the big question for all of us is, how do you make sure you're in one of those groups?
And that really gets to the core challenge, doesn't it? The ability to learn hard things fast and then produce work at a truly elite level. That's not some nice-to-have skill anymore. Nope, it's the price of admission. It's your ticket to doing high-value work in this new economy. Which brings us finally to the solution. This is where deep work comes in. Newport basically says this is the superpower for the new economy. It's the one skill that lets you master those hard things and create work that's truly exceptional.
Okay, so what's the difference? It's actually super clear when you see it side by side. Deep work, that's when you're completely in the zone, zero distractions, pushing your brain to its absolute limit. Think of a programmer deep in a complex piece of code. Now, shallow work, that's pretty much everything else. Answering emails while you're half listening to a podcast, scheduling meetings, mindlessly scrolling. You get the idea. One creates real, lasting value. The other, well, it just keeps the lights on.
And you know, this isn't just about being more productive for your boss. It's about finding a sense of real meaning, a sense of craftsmanship. Newport tells this great story about a master swordsmith named Rick Ferrer. This guy finds this incredible satisfaction in the intense focus challenge of making a sword. And it's a perfect example of how our brains are literally wired to feel good when we're deeply focused on something hard.
Okay, so we get the what and the why. Deep work is crucial, but how do you, actually do it in a world of constant pings? Let's dive into a few strategies you can start using right away.
It all starts with how you think about your tools, especially your digital tools. Most of us, if we're honest, use what Newport calls the any benefit approach. We're on Facebook because, hey, maybe it'll help us keep up with family. We justify using a tool if there's any possible benefit. But Newport says we need to be more like a master craftsman, incredibly picky about our tools. A craftsman only uses the absolute best tool for the job, one that provides a massive benefit that crushes any downside. So here's the test. It's just 2 steps. First, get crystal clear on your most important goals, both professionally and personally. Then, look at every single digital tool you use and ask yourself this brutally honest question. Does the positive impact of this tool on my core goals substantially outweigh the negatives, like, my completely shattered attention span? If the answer isn't a loud, obvious yes, then you really got to think about ditching it.
All right, here's another super practical idea. Start thinking about your shallow work like a budget. Just like with money, you have a limited amount of attention. So have a real conversation with your boss. Figure out, okay, what percentage of my week really needs to be spent on emails, meetings, and all that shallow stuff. Once you put a number on it and cap it, you've given yourself and your manager permission to fiercely protect the rest of your time for the deep work that matters.
And that brings us to the final point, which is honestly the most important one. Because the benefits of deep work, they go way, way beyond just getting a promotion or making more money.
It all comes down to this really powerful idea that who you are, what you think, feel, and do, what you love, is the sum of what you focus on. Think about that. Your entire life experience is just the sum of the things you've paid attention to. So if you spend your days letting your focus get pulled in a million different directions by shallow nonsense, well, your life is going to feel pretty shallow and fragmented too. But if you train yourself to focus deeply on things that truly matter, you're not just being more productive. You are actively building a more meaningful life. It's really that simple. A deep life is a good life.
So it all boils down to this one question, and it's a question for you. In this world that is literally designed to steal your attention and sell it to the highest bidder, what will you choose to focus on? Because the answer to that question, that might just be the answer to everything.